Aloha, how you doing? Dan McDonald here, the Life Regenerator, and I have an announcement to make. I wanted to let you know that in a couple of weeks here I'm going to be launching my new book, and it is actually a recipe book, and it contains 250, 300 recipes, something like that, all the way from the fruitarian style lifestyle all the way to the most gourmet. Well, when I say the most gourmet for me, which is really like there aren't any dehydrated recipes in this book, just because I'm more of a simple raw living foods like grub. So what's interesting about this recipe book is that it takes about 10 or 15 minutes at most to make these recipes. I really like to keep things simple, but I wanted to make a book that had a lot of diversity as well, so that people that like to eat ultra clean can have that option. Juices, soups, smoothies, salads, entrees, desserts. So my website is regenerateyourlife.org. If you don't know that, you can always go over there if you want to stay in closer contact with me and also get free recipes and little inspirational emails. And also to keep up with me, I tend to stay in touch with the Insiders Club a little bit better than YouTube or Facebook. On an intimate level. So anyways, regenerateyourlife.org is the website, and I'll be launching that pretty soon. What's really cool about this recipe book is not only that it's all 100% raw living foods, it's very simple, very basic. Nuts, seeds, vegetables, fruits, and just very simple so that anyone can do it. You know, a blender and a juicer and a food processor is useful. It's nice to have those tools if you've got them to kind of create some textures and stuff like that that you might need to keep you or your family interested as you transition into cleaner and better and more simple eating. So the other thing too is that I actually included a 30-day meal planner, so that's going to be really cool. I'm just planting the seed right now so that you're aware of what I'm going to be offering in a couple weeks, just in case for those people who are interested, because this is probably the most practical thing that I've ever released. It's one thing to like watch a 20-minute video of me rambling on just to try to make some kind of a soup or something like that, you know what I mean? Or to go over to my website and get the more deeper online classes where I've got like 14 different online classes, but still you've got to take like 2 hours to watch that and then write all the recipes down yourself. Well, now with this book, you're just going to be able to, you know, look at the recipe and go right into the kitchen without having to listen to me go on and on. Now, the instruction is great, but sometimes you just want to go straight to the recipe, get into the kitchen, put it together, and get your grub on. So I just wanted to let you know about that. So keep your eyes peeled for that. The reason why I'm making this video here, and this is the little inspirational tidbit I want to leave you with, well, after 15, about almost 16 years now on the living foods diet, I feel better than ever before. My energy is fantastic. My body's flexible. I have so much energy. You know, and I want to, and there's other things that go along with this that are so beneficial. The awakening of your consciousness, the purity of your blood, the strength of your body, the health of your colon. I mean, almost everyone I know has digestive issues. It just keeps coming up. I see it. Oh, I got the problem. Oh, I got the problem. Oh, I got the problem. You know, so I try to help them with that, with different things like juicing and simplicity and enzymes and probiotics and things like that. And it's really hard for people to change, you know, but I want to encourage you, no matter where you're at in your journey. I'm no one's judge. I'm just here to like be of service, because I've been so blessed to like get the Living Foods download and be like, that's what I'm doing. Boom. And that's what I did. And yes, it took me about 12 and a half years to really get it to the point where I lost the craving for cooked foods, and there's a lot to it. I don't have time to go into that for this video, but the cleaner you get your guts, well, I'll just leave you with this because I really care and I want to see you make a difference in your life. But it's that whatever you feed yourself is what your body is going to want tomorrow, because the microorganisms that you feed are the ones that come out of the woodwork, and then they proliferate, and then they're in there being active, and then the next day, so if you eat meat, and then those microorganisms that help to digest and break down meat and that are proliferate when there's flesh in the small and large intestine, then those microorganisms are going to come out. Well, then the very next day, those same microorganisms are going to be busy and they're going to be expecting their tribute. You know what I mean? They're going to be expecting their meat. Same thing with sugar. Same thing with grains. And luckily enough, the same thing with fruits and vegetables, because there's thousands of different microorganisms and each one has a different role to play. So whatever you eat is what you're going to crave the next day. So if you can get yourself into a conscious state to make a choice to whatever it is. I mean, I understand people don't want to go all the way to a whole living foods diet, but I recommend it to every single living human being only based on the experience that I've had, which is magnificent and incredible and beyond description. But I've felt so much resistance from people because I understand what's going on inside their guts. These microorganisms send signals to your brain through your enteric nervous system and say, don't listen to this idiot. He's confused. He don't know what he's talking about. Let's go get some vegan donuts. Let's go get a burger. Let's go get some pizza, and let's just stay happy like that. But if you want to get cleaned up and cleared out and get your mind to where you're really, really connected and tapped into nature, where you see very simply what's going on in the world today. But we are so bamboozled, brainwashed, hypnotized, and socially conditioned that the simple basic things like the lychees on this tree, which you can't see because I ate them all, believe it or not. And that was the example. That's why I wanted to make this video right here, was because I wanted to talk about my experience with the living foods. I was going to be hella quick, but you know how I am, because I feel like I really want to be a blessing to you, and I really want as many people as possible to understand the power of the living foods. Now, see, I came to this tree when it was in full bloom, and the lychees were all over this entire tree. Now, I would get lychees at the market, but those lychees were picked 12, maybe 24 hours before, okay? But when I came here to pick the lychees off the tree, this happened every single time, and I had about 5 or 6 meals off of this tree. Now, a meal is approximately, for me, like I like to carb up, you know what I mean? So a meal for me off this lychee tree would probably be somewhere between 60 to 100 lychees, you know what I mean? And it would take about a good, 30, 45 minutes to get a meal in. Well, anyways, whenever I'd be like right in the middle of my little meal, I could just feel the power. And what I was feeling, and what I finally eventually realized after about the 3rd or 4th time, and then I experimented a couple more times after that, was that the living food that is right on the tree, that is picked fresh, plucked fresh at the peak of ripeness, has the most highest vibrational energy, which adds a magnificent energy to the system, to the blood. There's so many things about the living foods. It's going to be some kind of video I'm going to have to do later on to explain to you all of the elements that are inside the living foods, that once you heat them up, you lose them. They evaporate into the air, and then those gases that should have went into your blood, which would thin your blood and increase the zeta potential, which would increase the circulation, which would go deeper into the watershed areas in your brain and your heart, which would activate dormant potential, because we grew up on Hamburger Helper and cheese and milk and dead food. The microcapillaries get blocked up, but as soon as you do some fasting, some juicing, and eat the high water electrical living foods, that blood can thin out, that zeta potential raises. When you're getting these foods that are the most highly vibrational, the zeta potential raises and the blood can get deeper into the body. And the blood vessels are much more capable of carrying oxygen deeper into the recesses and the tissues of the body, which then gives you this vitality and this vibrance that you cannot get, and you will not get, at least in my experience, when there is a consistent supply of cooked food. And when you get to 100% living foods, your consciousness changes. This is just my experience. I don't mean to sound like I'm preachy or anything like that. I'm just excited, and I really care about people, and I really care about this truth, and I care about the experiences that I've had. And that's why I wrote that recipe book, and that's why I teach to eat as much of the living organic food as you can, because I see people, they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm just like, how can that not make sense? Every animal on this planet, since it was born, Every amoeba, every single living organism consumes other living organisms, except for the ones that are vultures or the ones that are the scavengers. But you don't want to be that. Do you want to be a crab? Do you want to be a hyena? Do you want to be a vulture? No, that's not you. You are Homo spiritus. You are the power of the body. You are the radiant love of the heart. And you are the power of consciousness in the mind as a receiver of the light and an emanator of your own ideas. So you want to emanate what it is that you want to create, because you'll become a beacon. So cleansing yourself here, purifying yourself here, and allowing yourself to be illuminated here by the rising of that energy by consuming the foods that vibrate the highest. The fruit feeds the brain in a way that nothing else can. Now don't get me wrong, I love me some raw living fats too. So interestingly enough, if you said, hey Dan, what's your diet? I could describe it, even though I'm not a big fan of the boxes. It would be a high carb, high fat, living foods diet, you know, and it is vegan, and I would or will consume honey, but I haven't in many months, maybe 6 months since I've consumed any honey at all. But not that I have a problem with that, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, again, you know me, Dan McDonald. I was about to make a 3-minute video just to promote my recipe book, but I wanted to give you all the download because I know that there's some of y'all out there that needed this information, this inspiration to go out there and activate your nuts and seeds and drink your wheatgrass juice at the grass bar and go out and get some organic juice and drink it fresh right there. Squeeze the juice and drink it right there, because the gases and the living water and the living minerals are all within the cell walls, and once those are broken open, either through cooking and dispersion, because when you cook it, you disperse it all out, then it's gone. You don't want to disperse it out into the universe. You want to get that into your body. It's the most subtle properties of the living foods. I am a huge proponent of the living foods for people, for living people. Every cell in your body is alive, and if it's not, that becomes cancer, and cancer is on a huge uprise. And so you need to keep the living cells fed with the power of the living foods, which is the living water, the living gases, the living minerals, the living enzymes, and the living fiber to keep the colon clean, because every cell in your body should be alive. And how we can, well, I was going to say how we can do this. I just had to do this. We'll just go. Chemical stimulation is not the same as electrical illumination. The lychees on the tree have electrical illumination, and the rice, cooked rice and vegetables, has the chemical stimulation. So what we've got is a world full of people who are using food as a chemical stimulant, as opposed to an electrical illumination of the blood and mind at the most subtle levels, and it wakes you up. And I've been on Kauai for a year, and I'm blessed beyond measure. I know that, and most of you aren't going to be able to just come out and eat fruit right off the trees, but you can make the best choices. You can go find farmers, you can grow your own stuff, you can make the sprouts so that you can get that living consciousness within you. When the food is fed by the sun, that is really the best, but if it's inside and you're growing some sprouts or whatever, get as much living foods into your diet as possible. And so keep your eyes for the recipe book, because then you'll be able to have these amazing recipes, and you'll be able to make some great food for your kids, and you'll be able to just, even if you're not ever going to go to a living foods diet, and I totally get it, because it's like, I understand, I'm kind of like this, you know, I live in my own little world, you know. But I do inspire people, and they do aspire to be like me, and they can see that I'm thriving, where they're like, not. They're kind of still kind of strung out on food and not feeling too well and have a lot of healing to do. But we eat the proper food. Then we get our hearts purified by diving deep into our heart and feeling everything, feeling our stuff, feeling the stuff of the entire collective consciousness, and just making peace with like the darkness of our own personal experiences, our own personal traumas, and then the trauma and the darkness of humanity. And we make peace with that and we embrace it. And that purifies our heart and brings compassion and understanding. And then we're instantly able to forgive others much more rapidly. And then as we continue the process of evolution, the mind begins to be purified. The mind, with the proper blood flow and the relinquishment of the things that are destructive to the brain. I don't want to get into it because it's more like conspiracy stuff on one hand, and then there's the other hand where it's just like not understanding nature and how it works, while leaving a lot of sediment, calcium, lime deposits, and earthy matter in the blood, in the brain, clogging up the lymphatic system, getting stuck interstitially, and inhibiting blood flow. Okay, so I'm encouraging you to think of the foods like fruits and vegetables that will increase zeta potential, increase blood flow, and illuminate you on every level. And that's what I want to see for you, and that's what I want to see for mankind. And this is just my tiny little contribution to the world, but it's powerful. Living foods is powerful. It's pure power, pure life force energy. So again, what I do is I try to make every single video to get you caught up to where I am. But after 15 years of study, I've got about another 8 hours to go before I feel like I could transmit to you everything I've learned and everything I loved and all the 5 million reasons why I always continue to just stay with the living foods. It's my dharma of one thing, but just the love for health, the love for clarity, the love for energy. That's what I love, just the energy, just being 42 years young and just having the energy to do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want, and no one leaves me behind, and I'm leaving behind everybody, because you want to be just vibing high when you're out exercising and you're utilizing that oxygen and you're just not getting tired because there's no friction and there's no entropy. And then that life force energy, because there's 2 roads, my friend, and that is the wide road that leads to death, and there is the narrow road that leads to life. And you will find the answers to the narrow road if you look to the book of nature, which is all around us. And it is so willing to teach us and love us. So I thank the Mother Kauai, and I thank the Father God. And I thank you for watching this video and taking good care of yourself and allowing these seeds to grow in your spirit. RegenerateYourLife.org is my website. I'll put a link down below. Bless you, bless you, bless you. I want to see you shine, and I'm going to be praying about that. Aloha.